How long have you been working on Fiendish? It seems like a pretty large project, so I imagine that it's been taking you years to put it all together and plan it out.
I started working on it in 2018.
Okay, and that was when you were still with the mainstream.
Mm, it's hard to say because it was at one of these phases where I stopped taking actively asking for work from them. I think in 2019. Okay, so 2018, I was still getting some work for like Marvel Superhero Adventures, and that's when I was starting to get really pissed because if you don't know what Marvel Superhero Adventures is, it's literally like a cheapy book for little kids. And that was the only work they were giving me. So I stopped like asking for work because I just realized they weren't going to give me anything else, any work that wasn't lame. They were never going to let me draw something that was cool. So I got really frustrated and oh yeah, there you go. Look,
Yeah, I did a bit of
blah, blah.
research. Um,
Yeah,
so
there. That's what I think. That's what I was working on in like early 2018, and it was like very sporadic and spotty. I'm glad I moved back to Taiwan because I moved back to Taiwan for about 3 years because the pay was so inconsistent and bad. I couldn't afford to live in America, so I was like, I'm just gonna move back with my family to Taiwan, and it was, and then I was like, and then I realized I gave up on like a high paying gaming job, and then I moved back to Taiwan. Also, I could do comics, and then they still weren't going to give me, like the kinds of projects I wanted to do, and I couldn't have a future with Marvel. So it was like a bit of a crisis moment, and then I just realized, you know what, I'm gonna write my own thing. So that's when I started doing Fiendish.
Seems like it worked out,
That is so far so good.
except for printer issues. But
Oh yeah, but small hurdles.
yeah,
You live and learn.
it seems like they had you though on a lot of the the newer genre of characters. Let's put it that way, like the Gwenpool
Mm.
and what is this Squirrel Girl? I mean, were they
Mm.
were they typecasting you? Do you think why were so many of these books of that ilk?
It's not like they ever explicitly say that, but I felt like I was being typecast. I did
Okay.
feel like that. I have no idea why they put me on these books because so you see Deadpool, the Deadpool credit is from 2011. That was the first job I did for them. And then I went into work for animation, so I didn't get any more work for them for a while. And that I think 2011 was when Marvel was still relatively normal and I was actually still a senior in college when I did that job. And they saw my normal style and they were like, "Oh, you fit Deadpool." And so, like, when Marvel was normal, they were like, she should work on, like, Deadpool or shit like that. And then after Marvel started going, getting a little weird, they were like, oh, we're gonna put her on, like, Gwenpool and the Squirrel Girl because for reasons?
I mean,
Hmm.
Gwenpool in theory could be like Deadpool, I suppose. But
Yeah, she's, like, kind of Deadpool influenced a
I mean, the
little.
name definitely. But I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
read Gwenpool, so I don't. I think I remember Zach saying actually some of them were pretty decent, but I don't remember.
Oh, I actually like the concept. Like the comic itself is insufferable. It's certain people who worked on it that are the problem, but the comic is not bad. And like the art is really good. I'm actually a huge fan of Gurihiru, and Gurihiru, they're a Japanese team that did the Avatar: The Last Airbender comics, which are really good as well. And the like the idea behind Gwenpool is I thought it was interesting. She has nothing to do with Gwen Stacy. She has nothing to do with Deadpool. It's just her name. She's like a girl from our world who felt like somehow was transported into the Marvel world, and she's a fan of comics and
I mean, it seems fine.
yeah,
Concept. Yeah.
yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's just it also, but like clearly this is look at the art style. They clearly wanted me to be budget Guri Hero, and I can like their work, but also recognize that I don't really draw like that, and it was like a weird situation. But that was the only work I was offered. So
Mm.
yeah, that book was fine. Silk was nice too. I don't know about like I'm not a super big fan of the character, but I like that it was a little darker and I like dark stuff. So at least Silk was, there was like kind of, she was like a little depressed a lot, and I was like, ooh,
It's like all the
this is
people
fun.
she knew died or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's like this is dark shit. I like it. But other than that, I didn't really register that much with the franchise. And then after Gwenpool and Silk was when it was really downhill. Like Gwenpool and Silk were not, were not that much an issue for me. It was just a little annoying because they were like YA-ish books, and it was when they were telling me to work on like Squirrel Girl where I kind of lost my shit.
Yeah, I mean, Squirrel Girl seems just obnoxious beyond belief. But you have Aardvark in chat. Well read.
Hi.
Hi, Aardvark. Welcome. What was Heather Antos? Was she? Actually, Aardvark's pointing out, isn't Gwenpool just an Antos stand-in? Same hairstyle and everything. Was Heather Antos editor of Gwenpool at that time?
Yeah, she was my editor.
Yes. So, like, what was the culture like then? Like, did it seem like they were trying to condition it towards something? I don't know, a little prejudiced, I guess. Like, it just feels odd that they had you on these books, and then Heather Antos is your editor at the time too. Did you feel like there was a bit of a bias there, racial kind of selective preference or something like that?
I think it was more like, because I'm a woman. I don't think a lot of people realize I'm Asian because of my name. So it was definitely like, oh, she's a girl, so let's put her on YA books and put her on like girl teams and stuff like that.
Ever do all the cutesy stuff?
Yeah, do all the cute, and like I can do cutesy stuff, but I don't want to do like the whole thing is like for kids. No, I mean my favorite comic is Berserk. Please, that's all I need to say. But yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by the culture. My interactions on that book were all, it was like very restrained, milquetoast. What I did notice was I feel like I didn't get a lot of edits, and that kind of actually annoyed me because I wanted to improve. I wanted to learn I wanted to work my way up to, I thought this was like a stepping stone because I was a fill-in for Gwenpool when Gurihiru had to take a break, and I was like, they're giving me a chance to like sort of learn the ropes, and so I can be given a chance to move on to bigger books, and perhaps I'll be able to ask for something that actually fits my style, like fucking Punisher or something. But I wasn't getting notes. It was just like almost no interaction. It was just, do you want this job? This is the deadline. Here's a script. And I'll turn it in. And I'll be like, okay, cool, thanks. So I don't really have an insight into the culture at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So much as all I can say is I felt like it wasn't like some passionate project. Everyone seemed really restrained and afraid to really talk to each other is all I know.
I mean,
They weren't inviting you out for milkshakes, basically.
No,
Right.
I did meet, and well, whatever. I was like, I don't like to gossip about people, but at this point, who cares? Because they're being, I know what they've been doing and behind the scenes. I met Antis in person once in New York and hung out, and it was a bit of a weird experience. It wasn't horrible. It's not like she's walking around being a bitch, but it was sort of these strange. I don't know how to describe it. I definitely didn't really click with her. I felt like I was, like she was polite, but it was almost like I was talking to a mean girl from high school who wasn't really actually interested in talking to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Strange. Like, it's a weird way to describe it. That's the only way I know how to describe it because, like, again, I'm like, we're all adults, and at the time I was like 25 or so, and I was like, why does this feel so weird and cliquey? Is my impression.
And you weren't in the clique yet.
Not really. And the thing is, and I've never talked about politics a lot, but because I wouldn't actively agree with anyone, and I wasn't outwardly, like, if I, I wasn't on the bandwagon with hashtags, and I wasn't, like, I refused to kiss anybody's ass, and, like, I wasn't, if they posted, weird shit like, Hey white people, I wouldn't like it. I would just ignore it, and I wouldn't join in on, because they want that signal, I think, of we're part of your group. Yeah, I hate the same people that you hate. I would never do that. So I wasn't really let in for that reason. But I think being overseas was also part of it. Yeah.
I mean, I think they do that with many of their artists. They're overseas. It's like, just give us our work so we have something to put in these comics.
Yeah. It's weird because even though I was on Gwenpool and, it seems like I could have been in the thick of things, but I wasn't. I was just like an overseas fill-in artist that, they thought they could use, and they kind of just assumed that I would, I was just there to take the work, and they didn't need to give me constant work. They didn't need to, like, actually get to know me. They didn't give a shit about me. Yeah.